Agitevach. So I'll tell you, Maisa, one of the great Tzadikim, one of the great students of the Baal Shem was Rav Nachman Shnobler. So this Rav Nachman Shnobler, the Maisa goes, is that he was traveling once in a particular city, which was not his native city, and he was traveling through the city collecting money for the mitzvah, the great mitzvah of Pidyon Shvoyim of Nebuch. There were Yidden that were imprisoned by the Paretz for whether it be taxes they didn't pay or stam for made up charges, and then Nebuch they're stuck in prison. So one of the biggest mitzvahs we have is Pidyon Shvuyim. Not only is it tzedakah, it's also saving a person's life, theoretically, if they're in prison like that. So it's the greatest mitzvah of all, Pidyon Shvuyim. So this Rav Nachman Shnobler was traveling around and collecting money for it. So it happens to be in his travels and in his efforts of collecting money. So Nebuch, what happens to him is that a police officer from that city notices him and stops him and asks him to see his papers. Okay, so Nachum shows them some identification, but evidently it wasn't enough for this police officer and wasn't enough of an ID for that city and the rules over there. And so Rav Nachum was arrested. Now, nothing, you can't say it was intense charges. He wasn't going to be in prison for a very long time, but he was held in prison for a few days. And Rav Nachum is sitting there in prison. He said over this Maisa a little bit later on. He said that he was sitting there and he's thinking to himself, what am I doing here? I'm just trying to do a mitzvah. The Gemara says, Shlucha mitzvah in nezakin. If a person is trying to do a mitzvah and he's on a mission to accomplish a mitzvah, then he doesn't get damaged, he doesn't get hurt. So how could this be that I'm amish in prison and just wasting away over here, even if it's just for a few days? What could be accomplished like this? So Rav Nachman said the moment that he had that thought, immediately he hears the cell next to him, the door of the cell open and close. And he looks, across to the next cell, and he notices this old lady that's being escorted by the policeman into this cell. Okay, he doesn't say anything; he just notices her, and all of a sudden she begins to call out in a loud voice. There's no one else there but her and Rav Nachum. And Rav Nachum Shnobler said that she begins to call in a loud voice, and she starts quoting a pasuk, and she says, "It says in pasuk, V'yomer Hashem al Avram, Hashem said to Avram a couple of parshas ago." Lech lecha me'aretzach, Hashem says, Avram Avinu, you should go from your land, from your birthplace, from your father's home, and so on. El Artz Asher Ereka, the land that I will show you. Right? Avram Avinu is sent on a journey, and Hashem says, V'avarechacha, I'll bless you, God l'shemecha. This journey is going to be mamish the biggest brachas. So this lady was calling out and crying, and she's saying, Rebbeinu Shalom, I don't understand. What type of blessing can come from Avram Avinu schlepping around from city to city, going to a place that he doesn't even know where he's going? He's just on a journey like that. What type of blessing can be experienced by that? That's what she calls that. That's the question. Now, Rav Nachum, as a tzaddik, senses there's something special about this lady. And so he doesn't answer. He just wants to listen. And a moment later, she says, Rebbeinu Shalom, I know the answer. And she says, this is the answer. We know that Avram Avinu's big inyan was hachnasas orchim, taking in guests, having guests. Now, nowadays, when we think of taking in guests, it usually means like you invite your neighbor for a Shabbos meal. That's a gewaldige thing, and it's a beautiful thing of achdas and so on. But the real mitzvah of hachnasas orchim, the way Avram Avinu did it, was people that were traveling, and they have nowhere to stay, and they're sleeping on the street. They have nowhere to go. So Avram Avinu had an inn. He had a hotel, a place, as we all know, tent, 4 doors on each side, and so on. And he would have people that were journeying and schlepping around. And they would come to stay in his home, and he would give them food and drink and a place to sleep. And he would feed them not just physical food, give them emunah and chizik. That was Avram Avinu's in hachnasas orchim. So said this lady, but Rebbeinu Shalom wanted Avram Avinu to really appreciate what an unbelievable mitzvah he's doing. So how could the Rebbeinu Shalom make Avram Avinu appreciate what an unbelievable kindness it is to do hachnasas orchim? But the only way the Rebbeinu Shalom can do that is to make Avram Avinu experience what it's like schlepping around. And then Avram Avinu will appreciate what type of gift it would be to have hachnasas orchim. And so then when Avram Avinu does hachnasas orchim, and he sees people come in, and he sees how tired they are, and he can then commiserate, he can actually feel how tired they are. He knows what that's like. And then when he realizes that he's the one that has the schus of giving them a night's rest and some food and some drink, he could appreciate what he's doing. He could appreciate what unbelievable gift he's giving them, because he knows what that's like to be an orach, to be a guest, to be someone that's schlepping around. And if only he had a place to stay when he was schlepping around. And so that's the biggest bracha that Hashem says. The bracha of Lech Lecha is that you should be Zayich Avram Avinu, to appreciate, by tasting what it's like to be schlepping around. That's going to be his way of appreciating the unbelievable gift that he's giving others of Achnas Azarchim. That's what the woman said. And the Rav Nachman Shava, the Pella was that a few minutes later, the police officer comes back and takes this woman away. So Rav Nachman thinks to himself, what in the world just happened? The Rebbeinu Shalom, everything is a message. So this woman was just in this cell for 5 minutes, and she said this like Dvar Torah. So Rav Nachman realized that's the answer to my question. The answer to my question was, the question that he had was, Rebbeinu Shalom, why are you doing this to me? I'm just trying to collect money for Pidyon Shavuim, to take Jews out of prison, and I have to go to prison. So Rav Nachman said, that's the answer. The Rebbeinu Shalom wants me to realize and to appreciate what unbelievable mitzvahs I'm doing, what I'm accomplishing for such Yidden. But said Rav Nachman, but I can't appreciate what Pidyon Shavuim is until I became imprisoned. And now that I'm imprisoned, I can now appreciate what it's like to be freed from prison. And so said Rav Nachman, when he realized that and it clicked in him, the officers came and took him out of prison. And we continued on his journey to collect money for Pidyon Shavuim. He did it with such simcha and such unbelievable pride and joy in the schus that he has to redeem other Jews out of their prison, because now he knows what it's like. He knows what it feels like. So Hashem should bless each and every one of us, not chas v'shalom, to have to go through tsaros and difficulties to appreciate the gifts that we're given. But Hashem should just give us those gifts and the appreciation to realize how amazing it is to help another Yid, how amazing it is to help the Rebbeinu Shalom, to serve Hashem. And we should be zachar to appreciate the mitzvahs that we do. Barachmim, b'shalva, b'menucha. Hashem should bless us within a week of Necham, of Yeshuas and Gulas. Mamish, ad b'li dai v'yis kol tzedek me'er v'yimeinu. Amen.